Hi, and welcome to the Lunation situation. We are going to talk about an exciting new moon occurring May 19th at 28 degrees of Taurus. Now, there is a lot to say about this new moon. It is very significant. But first of all, I want to express my gratitude to you because it's amazing the support that I'm getting here for this channel, and I really appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. It means a lot to me. And I'm actually quite amazed and pleasantly surprised that the comments are so lovely and so supportive. Thank you for that, really. So let's get back to our business. This is a new moon, and it is occurring after two quite significant, powerful eclipses that occurred April 20th and May 5th. The eclipse season is sort of behind us. However, eclipse energies have a very long effect. So even though the most intense hot period of those reshuffling of the energies in the universe, right, has come to an end, the effects of these two eclipses that indeed were very powerful, even though if you haven't seen it in the news, something significant has shifted and major energies have come into our planet and into our consciousness. Maybe many of you have felt very tired as I have, because the eclipse energies were pretty tough. And as I said, all of those energies will play out over at least the coming 6 months. So the eclipse energies are not over yet, but here we find ourselves at quite an interesting time because the eclipses were quite intense. But from May 16th on, something really important occurs, and that is Jupiter entering into the sign of Taurus. And I have made a separate video on that, which is, you could definitely see as an introduction into this new moon lunation video. And immediately there is something very significant happening energetically. So normally it's not a very big deal that Jupiter changes signs, even though we always track that in astrology, and it's beneficial. So people often like to look at what Jupiter is doing because it could enhance those topics, and it certainly does. But immediately when it enters Taurus, it creates a lot of tension, and I speak of that in the Jupiter video, but we will have to talk about it in this video as well, because it starts off with a big grand fixed cross, thanks to Jupiter entering here, and there's a lot going on there, so I'm going to explain that a little bit later. Also, it's conjunct a major fixed star that we have to look into, as well as other asteroids and stuff that it's touching upon. But as per usual, we have to start at the beginning, and this is a new moon, and that means new energies are coming in. Fresh energies are here to play with. This is where you can definitely use this energy for manifestations, for wishes, for anything you want to create. This is a beginning energy, so here we plant our seeds very well, and as Jan Spiller says, we get 10 wishes, and if you use them around these Taurian topics, then the chances are high that it comes to fruition. And indeed, it's a very fertile, fruitful lunation situation. So we definitely want to make use of this. Now, it's in the sign of Taurus, and that means that the sun and moon, because this is a new moon, are together in Taurus, right? And Taurus is ruled by Venus, so it's all about loving up. It's about the pleasures of life. It's about what feels good. It's about, it's the first nature, it's the first earth sign, so it's all about nature. It's all about grounding yourself. It's getting in touch with nature, taking it more simple. It's about security. It's about making sure that you have something solid in your life, something tangible, something practical, real in your life. So it rules money and possessions as well, and certainly anything that's valuable or what is valuable to you are very Taurian topics. It's about our physical needs. What do you have? What do you need to have? What do you need to own? It's about your resources, right? So what are your resources? What resources do you need? Because this is a new moon. This is where you can invite it in, right? Since Taurus is about our values, our value systems, and especially since now Jupiter has entered the arena, as we say, it has come into Taurus as well. This is definitely also about adding value, how to add more value to what you have or what you could have or where you want to work towards. Taurus is quite a determined sign. It doesn't shy away from hard work, even though people explain Taurus as being slow. Maybe so. It likes to rest and, to have downtime. But it's also very motivated to go after a goal and to complete it. Earth signs are very actually hardworking. And I think what's particular about Taurus and all the other earth signs is that they don't shy away from a long-term from working towards something for a very long time. So whereas other signs might easily give up after a while, a sign such as Taurus will hold on and keep going at it until it's there, until it's finalized, until it's succeeded. So there's immense strength within the Taurus sign, immense determination to manifest, really, to create whatever you desire in your life. So during this new moon, it's likely that we are very driven, that we want to succeed at things, that we are devoted to our goals, but it's just a very practical way of going at it. Like, this is making something real, tangible. This is not woo-woo. This is a plan. This is holding on and a steady race to win, to get, to do, to have, right? Taurus is a very stabilizing energy. So what kind of stability do you want in your life? This persistence that we get from this Taurus energy is just so valuable. We really want to make use of it, right? The slowness about Taurus we could more see as patience, because the slowing down is also about, that mentality that, slow and steady wins the race, because there's just such a consistency around Taurus. And of course, adding value is about knowing who you are as well. Are you valuable? Do you feel valuable? And, you know, what do you own is a very Victorian question, but are you also owning your own life? Are you owning your desires and needs? Are you meeting them? Are you owning your own energy? This is a bit of a stepping up because this lunation sextiles Neptune, and because this lunation is conjunct Sedna. Taurus is also about our basic needs and what we need, you know, the essentials to survive, to make it. As I said, it's an earth sign, so it's about making it in nature as well. It's about our food. It's about our, you know, our properties, our house, the material stuff we need. And, you know, in modern life, often it's money as well. So you need to ask also, you know, what do you need to survive? You know, how can you be more independent? Can you find your own resources? You know, there's a need for self-reliance with Taurus, and meeting your basic needs. Taurus is also about that which is right in front of you. As I said, it's the material, the tangible. So, what are you here to create that's like in your face, that's like real, practical, to be used? And it's important to know that, you know, Taurus is very physical. It's about embodiment. So, as I said, owning who you are, owning your values, and, you know, asking yourself what is a good life to you, and standing by that and doing all that you can to create that, to make it real, like right in front of you. That's your reality. So that's quite promising for a Taurian new moon. This is a very building energy. You know, Taurus is about building something solid, and a new moon is excellent for that, an excellent timing. Now, this new moon in Taurus occurs at 28 degrees. And 28 degrees of Taurus is a really important, significant placement. First of all, it's conjunct the fixed star Alcyone. So Alcyone is the center of the Pleiades. It's, you know, one of those seven sisters. It is also a nebula, so it's about sight. And often with Alcyone, this is a blurry sight where, you know, this could cause like eye problems or sight problems, but actually it's about inner vision. And as I said, there is quite a spiritual aspect to this lunation, and Alcyone is that drive to find great inner vision. As the books on fixed stars say, the only problem is that the vision of Alcyone can be judgmental, and that is not what we want. So the literature says that, you know, it can be a disturbance of proper sight, but Alcyone stands for ambition and endeavor, which is very Taurian as well. It's about, you know, high positions, high passion. However, there is sense of ruthlessness with it. Brady's book of fixed stars, which is quite a it's a well-known book, says that Alcyone is about seeking inner vision, your third eye, and that it just brings, or should have, a very strong desire to seek inner knowledge. Its links to vision is not just physical, but it's also mystical. This is a good one. There will be a sense of vision or insight via the planet which is involved. And here we have the sun and the moon. So the sun is about our identity, our vitality, our energy, knowing who we are, right? And the moon is about our emotions, our feelings, how we nurture ourselves, our emotional needs, our daily needs. So here, I suppose we get a better vision of our needs and of who we are, and to go a little bit deeper, to go a little bit within, and make sense. You need to do that to know what you need, what you value, and what you want to manifest during this new moon, right? But it also says there's a caution against making rash judgments and being narrow-minded to the point of becoming blind to the obvious. So I would here translate it because, Taurus also stands for that material, tangible reality. Maybe not be blind to the obvious needs you have materialistically. So it's quite a balance between that mystical and that physical, I would say, here. So there's something quite about our sight and our vision, and it's about seeing more than usual, maybe. So that's quite interesting. Also, it's conjunct Sedna. It's a dwarf planet. It's really far away from us, near Pluto, which is at the outer skirts of our solar system. These planets like Pluto and Sedna are far away and they're very small, but oddly enough, because of that, they actually can have a lot of impact. And because our consciousness is developing, because we are finding these, new parts of the solar system, this is helping us evolve our consciousness. Do you understand? There is a hermetic law that says as above, so below. So all of these celestial bodies in our solar system have an effect here on Earth, on our knowledge, on our ideas, and on our path moving forward. And Sedna is one of these, as it's in the outer skirts of our solar system. Of course, it is sort of newly discovered, but nevertheless, it always had an impact on history. But now that we know of it, it has more of an impact. You know what I mean? Now we become aware of these energies. So Sedna is conjunct this lunation situation at 28 degrees of Taurus. Now, Sedna is the goddess of the sea, and that's important to understand. So here we have an emphasis on the water element. And as this lunation is also sextiling Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces, Here we have another very strong water element playing with this lunation situation. And actually, it's also sextiling Mars at 29 degrees of the Crab, another water element. So here, 3 aspects are showing us the importance of working with water. And oddly enough, I'm getting all this new information into my knowledge of what water is and how significant it is. Now, I kind of knew that, but you know, there are really important and beautiful researchers on this topic, like Dr. Emoto, I think, from Japan, who studied water and the effects of, you know, emotions, words, vibrations, in essence, on the structure of water and how they change the structure of water. You know, we're beginning to understand that water has a memory, that it records information. And of course, water is life, you know, so it's normal that water is consciousness. It's alive. So there's a lot we need to learn about water. And I guess it's interesting that it's conjunct, you know, Sedna here, because this increases our need to understand water. The mystical side of it is being brought here through Sedna. You know, being conjunct Alcyone is no coincidence. This is our inner vision, our knowledge and understanding of that element of water that we hold within, because we are made out of water for 70%. Our brain is made out of water for 80%. We are water. So we don't even need to read a book about it per se. It's here. The knowledge is here. So funnily enough, Alcyone is saying, turn in. Here is the inner vision and knowledge you already have. And so Sedna is confirming that. That there is something really significant about that here as well. Sedna is also about, you know, the path of destiny, the passage of the soul. So it's actually about the spiritual path. And, you know, the water element in astrology is the spiritual path. So, again, a confirmation astrologically. Astro.com says that, you know, it's about heredity. So I would say that's like ancestry, right? And I think I would add to that, you know, DNA. And again, the confirmation that water is tracking information, has a memory, holds information. We are water, we hold information, and DNA is a part of that, you know. Maybe it interacts with the water and all that. So there is great substance about water. And the article says that Sedna is also about the painful crises of transcendence. You see, spirituality, water spirituality, is about the beyond, more than what the eye meets, you know. So there is a need here to level up, to take a serious spiritual path, to understand your inner codes and information. We are on a very intense spiritual journey, in case you weren't able to tell for a long time, right? This is the reason why we have been experiencing major developments, you know, only like in the last couple of years. This is why immense awakenings, personal, you know, journeys of the soul that have just been invited to go really deep, such as, you know, shadow work and healing work. How come that suddenly has like exploded, right? Because we're on an intense spiritual journey here. And that's apparently what Sedna stands for. And, you know, this lunation situation is just bringing great focus to these themes. But as it is in Taurus, this is about making all that spirituality, the mysticism, real. This is about grounding it in to earth. This is about a practical approach to spirituality. So, you know, this is about the knowledge on water and using it, owning up to it. Your water, so owning up to this, you. Sort of like full ownership of it, of you, of water, of knowledge, of spirituality, of transcendence. And there is just so much magic about it. Like, it's too much for me here to tell, to explain, because it's a spiritual journey, is a personal journey as well. It's not that many people can tell you what to do, or, you know, this is where you need to find your own voice, especially in Taurus, and find the wisdom you carry within and tap into the spiritual path in your own way, on your own terms. And interestingly, Sedna can stand for the grief that comes with crises and spirituality and transcendence, because you're leaving things behind. And transformation is not easy. Healing is not even easy. And grief is just a great part of it. It's a great big part of healing and moving beyond. It's a very natural process. We need to grieve. And so even though there is tremendous potential here, as we go deeper into the chart, and that this is a very fruitful time to start things new, but that there might be an emotional part of it that finds, you know, that could bring feeling of sadness. And I think the Alcyone placement shows us that do not judge it. The grief is part of the inner vision, inner wisdom. It's a natural part of the process. Grief needs to be felt and be like channeled through you, just like water flows through you daily. Fluidity, right? Fluid. Let it be, no judgment. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't begin anything. It's part of it, because a new beginning of something means that something has ended. And if this is a new moon and this is a fresh start, a new chapter, a new significant part of your life and of the collective life, then something has ended. And while you begin and start something new, there is a part of the grief of whatever you had to say goodbye to. Do you understand? And we let that be. We don't judge that. It's normal. Actually, it's beautiful. It's like that bitter sweetness that just gives so much depth, which is again very Sedna, I would say. Also very interesting for many reasons is that Ceres, which is also a dwarf planet, about how we nurture and how we nurture ourselves, and Earth, Ceres is the Mother Earth, represents Mother Earth, is the higher octave of the moon, and this is a new moon. And that Sedna is actually the higher octave of Ceres. So Ceres is also about that nurturing energy and love. Because water is life. Life means fertility. Fertility means woman. And woman means mother. And mothering is nurturing. So the moon is here, Sedna is here, and even Ceres is here, because Ceres is at 24 degrees of Virgo and is actually making a grand earth sign, earth trine, we could say, because it's, well, first of all, Ceres is trining the lunation situation. Ceres is broadly trining Pluto, 0 degrees in Aquarius, who's going retrograde. So soon it's in Capricorn, an earth sign. And for sure, Pluto is trining the lunation situation. So we have here a big grand trine, as they say. A big flow of, easygoing energy, supportive, fluidity. So there's a great need for nurturing, self-nurture, security, safety. As I said, it's a very fertile new moon. This is very much about Mother Nature moon. Here we are invited to go, I would say, into much higher octave of Taurus. And that is the love we have for ourselves. It is the love we have for others, specifically our significant other. And it's the love we have for nature, the honor and gratitude we have for Mother Nature. There really is a big spiritual message about this. And an invitation to use all of this for your own expansion. So some background information. Mercury has gone direct May 15th, so 4 days before this lunation situation, which is kind of good because all systems are ready to go. This is truly where you can plant long-term significant fruitful seeds for a fruitful process. May 16th, 1 day later, Jupiter enters Taurus. But then here we encounter a little bit, well, not a little bit, quite of a big situation, okay? And the situation is, as you can see in the chart, some red, big red you know, stripes going on, and it's actually a square, a really big square made up of two oppositions. The opposition is between Pluto in Aquarius, going retrograde already, facing off with Mars at 29 degrees of the crab. Okay, that's important. The other opposition is between the South Node and, of course, then on the opposite side, the North Node, who is conjunct with Jupiter just entering Taurus, and actually also Mercury, who has just gone direct after 3 weeks of retrograding during the eclipse season. Now, mind you, little note, Mercury is direct, but it always has a post-shadow period, which officially lasts till May 31st. But our mind, our vision, our information seeking is much more clear. So I would give you the go during this lunation situation. But maybe it's important to know that there is a post-shadow period, so still be just hyper focused on details and information and contracts and logistics and all that, okay? But so you have two oppositions, and then you have four squares, because two oppositions like this create four squares, and this is called a grand cross in astrology. And because these are four signs that are called the fixed signs, because it's Taurus, almost Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, here we are talking about a grand fixed cross, which is one of the toughest grand crosses, because the fixed signs are just determined on their own path, and they don't like to bulge and change the path, and they're just almost obsessed with what they're doing or where they're at, very attached to where they are and the outcomes. So change for the fixed signs is not, it's difficult, even though I always argue that the fixed signs are actually all about change. So it's funny. So I call a grand fixed cross definitely a locked in energy. So there's just so much tension coming from all sides that there's like a stagnancy, you know, a stagnancy, but like ready to rumble and like face off and almost fight, especially with Mars here. It's like dueling, except not dueling with one other person, but like 4 placements. And it's too much. So you don't move. You can't move. You don't know which move to make, you know? So it's a locked in energy with tension, with pressure. I like how a square in astrology is called a call for action. I see a square as the need for focus and attention. Like it brings, it's necessary. Like it's in our face. You can't avoid it. You can't say like, I'll deal with this later. Yeah, you can't ignore it. You have to do something with this energy. You have to use it and hopefully transform it, because otherwise it can create a block. You know, squares can be a blocking energy, a heightened energy, if not dealt with. But the pressure and the uncomfortability, the conflictuousness is there to bring our attention to it, to pressure us into action. So the problem, I guess, here is like there's a lot being asked from us, because our attention has to go in multiple ways. And because of that, we're like, well, I don't know which action to take. I don't know where to go with this much pressure. And like, you know, the problem here is that you don't know where to start, I would say. With any grand cross, I get the feeling that you just don't know where to start. Strategically, you have two choices. Either you start, if you have the biggest balls and are like courageous, you start with the most difficult thing, because after that, you know, if you start with the most difficult, it gets easier, right? So it's a good strategy, but only if you can handle it. You have to be realistic about that. Personally, especially with, you know, a lunation in Taurus, which is like slower and relaxed, right? I would, and it's just also the way I approach life these days, I would start with whatever is, what are you able to do? So what's the easiest to start? You know, I feel realistically, that's a good strategic point. I understand the other strategy very much, but that requires tremendous strength. And sometimes we need to be honest that maybe you're not there. If you are, great. You know, just, you know, if you feel like you can't do anything, you don't know where to start, baby steps. You do what you can. You start with what's the easiest, what's right in front of you, what could you handle. Be honest and realistic about that for yourself. Don't take on too much, especially here with so much pressure. Don't take on the big things. I wouldn't recommend that. Not in the situation where we live currently, collectively. So the reason for me to say that is because I feel that a grand cross, yes, is locked in energy. Yes, you don't know where to go. You don't know where to start. And it's really intense and like heavy. But once you pull at it, it's a wheel, right? It starts to spin. And I feel that is the magic, because we're talking about 4 squares, 4 calls for action. And, you know, one of those squares has like 3 planet and points involved. So there's too much call for action, too many actions to take. So, but if you start with 1, you ease the tension and simultaneously you give a spin to it. So the wheel starts to turn, and the Grand Cross now is a portal for big, massive manifestations. And now it can be used for your advantage. So there's 2 parts about it, you know, that it's difficult. Yes, very so. Not gonna lie, especially with the planets involved here. We have a Pluto-Mars opposition. We have a Mars at 29 degrees of the crab. It's an aneretic degree. It's a hot degree. It's strenuous. It's pressurizing in itself. And like, it's a bubbling up energy. There's much going on just within the Mars energy alone. And in the sign of the Crab, this is about, you know, security, safety. This is about protection, the need to protect. This is about homeland. This is about heritage, roots, family. This is about the need to nurture very much. And it's about listening to your intuition, which has all that inner vision within, the inner knowledge and wisdom. But, you know, with Pluto on the other side, who has just dipped its toe into Aquarius and now is slowly leaving Aquarius, but still in Aquarius, even though it's retrograde during this lunation. So Pluto is about, you know, power, control, potentially manipulation, abuse. In the sign of Aquarius, this is about large collective, you know, people, a large amount of people. This is about humanity in its whole. This is about industrialization, however, a very modern turn on it, a very futuristic turn on it. Like, it's the fourth industrial revolution, right? So this is about the digitalization. This is about innovation, tech. So also Pluto in Aquarius is about rebellion. It's about, you know, going against the system. It's about standing up for your rights, standing up for what you believe is right, for, you know, what you deserve. You know, it could be people going to the streets and protesting, or obstructing the usual, you know, societal things. And that Mars is just trying to protect and keep safe and listening to inner wisdom. And you know, it's both about dominion, fighting, control, leadership. So there's a push-pull between these two. And Pluto-Mars oppositions are always intense. And the next day after this lunation situation, Mars enters Leo, and that makes it an exact opposition. Here, there's still, you know, Mars is still in the Crab. So if he goes into Leo, it gets even more intense, which is the day after, right? So remember that. And May 20th, Mars is in Leo, having an intense, it's an exact grand fixed cross. May 20th. It's something to watch out for. This is an intense situation. And since Pluto is involved, this involves many people. This is big crowds, large numbers, the collective, humanity. So it's you, me, you know, it's everyone. So be careful, okay? Be careful around these dates. But if we look at Jupiter, who's at 0 degrees of Taurus within this ground fixed cross, it's really close to the North Node. It is expanding our mission here. And it's bringing inspiration to move forward, to make really big, bold, powerful shifts. It kind of leads the grand fixed cross, because I feel that it's sort of the, I feel that it starts it. By moving into Taurus, it starts this grand fixed cross. So Jupiter is a pretty important element within this lunation. And I guess it just gives us great inspiration, energy, and the desire to meet that wisdom, you know, to learn more about Earth, more about what feels good to us, what is essential, how we embody all of that, how we stand for all of that. And Mercury here, just out of a retrograde, is like, I know it. I got the wisdom, I got the information, I went over it, and now we know what to do. So look at your own chart if you have anything around the beginning of a fixed sign, which is, do you have anything around the beginning of Taurus? Do you have anything around the beginning of Leo? Do you have anything about the beginning of Scorpio? Do you have anything about the beginning of Aquarius? And of course, do you have anything at the end tail of the cardinal signs, which is Aries, the crab, Libra, or Capricorn, because that's so close that it's also affected. And then 28 degrees of Taurus, this lunation situation with Alcyone and Sedna, is another placement where you should look at, because this is where you open a new way of life, a new materialistic understanding, a new reality that unfolds for you. And the house placement gives you a sign of what to work with, where to put the goals towards for yourself. And it's incredibly interesting that the grand fixed cross is not just doing something on its own, it's actually working with this lunation situation. Or should I say, the lunation situation is working with this grand fixed cross. Because the sun and the moon together at 28 degrees of Taurus is, you know, lightening up the, I would say, the biggest tension in the grand fixed cross, which is the opposition between Mars and Pluto. So this lunation situation is lightening up the opposition, the very, you know, fight mode between Mars and Pluto for domination, for power, for control, creating possibilities for unsafety, you know, issues of security. And then this lunation situation is like, I know how to lighten this up. And that is through inner vision, through the wisdom of water, through spiritual transcendence, and the main core business, the higher octave of Taurus, which is the expression of love and nurturing and Mother Earth, nature. And the wellness, the abundance that nature gives us, the blessings that are right here that we need to appreciate. And you know, appreciation means making more of. So the lunation is lightening up the opposition between Pluto and Mars, but then Saturn in Pisces is lightening up the other opposition between, you know, the North Node side and the South Node side. So this lunation situation right here is the key to unlock the tension of this grand fixed cross. But then Saturn in Pisces is also one of the keys to unlock it. And that is, of course, emotional maturity. That is ownership, you know, over your emotional life and the responsibility you have to heal yourself physically, emotionally, you know, but also spiritually. And Saturn in Pisces helps us to release and let go of the outdated, of whatever needs to be removed for your higher expression, and allowing that to be, trusting the removal and surrendering to it. And whilst at the same time, you know, Saturnian, working hard for your healing, working hard for your emotional maturity. There's something you need to do for that. If we look at the ruler of this lunation situation, of course, the ruler of Taurus is Venus. Venus is conjunct the fixed sign of Sirius at 12 degrees of the crab. And this is about, you know, cosmic intelligence. This is about ancient history. This is indeed about heritage and wisdom. This is again about the wisdom of water and your intuitive strength. And this is also about power and authority, you know, stepping into that and in a very loving, nurturing way. And it is trining Saturn. So this gives us a potential desire and a practical, realistic approach, perhaps, to a long-term love commitment and some form of success or accomplishment, you know, where we build something for the long term that we really enjoy. And this could be business. This could be a money endeavor as well. Venus is also squaring Chiron, who is at 18 degrees of Aries, and this gives a little bit of a tension that in the background of everything that's going on here, and there's a lot going on, as you can tell, there is here a struggle between me, what I want, what I need to heal, and whatever, you know, focuses more on you, your self-prioritization versus, you know, the pull towards family and the emotions that is connected there, you know, pulling a bit away from the self-prioritization. It's also about childhood trauma, as Venus is in the sign of the crab. So this is about, you know, this could form some self-esteem triggers, this tension with Chiron and Venus. But But as I said, it's a call to action. So it's a reminder that here's something you need to look at and bring your attention to, and to nurture your inner child. And that is how you heal your self-esteem, and how you heal issues with self-prioritization, okay? And how that is not a struggle between you and love. That's how you overcome that struggle, you know, by feeding into your inner child, by nurturing it, by taking care of it, by loving it, by comforting it, by allowing the feelings that were there as a child to be, to accept, to feel. And again, like Sedna, there could be a grieving side to that, for the loss, for the sadness, and that's okay. So I think we've talked about everything. You know, there is big, intense energy with this lunation situation, enhanced by another detail that I don't want to overlook, and that is that it actually touches an eclipse point, this lunation situation, and that is, of course, the first eclipse in Taurus that we had in 2021, which was November 19th. It was a lunar eclipse at 27 degrees of Taurus, and this lunation situation occurs 1 degree after that at 28 degree of Taurus. Here we have an evolutionary path. So the eclipse that started November 2021, which is 1.5 years ago, I would say created an 18-month period of things ending in the Taurian realms around 27 degrees of Taurus. And then whatever we experienced these last 18 months, and having more eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio on that axis these last 18 months, we have evolved. There were messages there, there were endings there, and there were influxes of new energies there. You know, massive upgrades as well. And there is something significant about that point in time, November 19th, 2021. This lunation might trigger it a little bit. So you can go back if you have any notes on what you did around November 19th, 2021. And there is a culmination point here, because now you're moving on. And the moving on is by birthing the new here with this fertile, fruitful lunation situation, this new moon at 28 degrees of Taurus. So promising, so powerful, okay? It's just beautiful that this is very symbolic of ending the North Node journey in Taurus, because it's leaving Taurus. It's you know, it's at 2 degrees and it moves backwards, the node. So around the summer it's in Aries and it's done. We do have another Taurus eclipse in the autumn season, but the North Node is not in Taurus anymore then. Even though it's significant, it's still significant. So there's still a little Taurus story still wrapping up. But whilst in that time, you did accomplish a lot. And you change something about that Taurian aspect in your chart. And if you had any planets or points between, 30 degrees of Taurus and 29, I guess, 29 degrees of Taurus and 0 degrees of Taurus, you have been dealing with something there, something really significant over the last 18 months. And I guess the universe here congratulates us and is like, we're ready to push in, to birth in the new Taurian life. And here you have a clean slate. You have a tabula rasa. It's a white paper, so it's ready for you to create the new Taurian life. And whatever that means for you, whatever these Taurian aspects mean for you, how to build security, how to build safety, how to own your own life, how to embody your life and feel good about it, how to stand for your values and whatever they are, and to own a stable life with pleasure, with love, and for a long term, and to be really proud of whatever you build or whatever you're building right now. And this is a lunation situation to not miss, to optimally make use of. All the wishes and manifestations rituals ought to be done after the time of the lunation situation, because you do not want to make wishes and manifestations in the dark of the moon. You want it to when the moon is birthed as well. That's an energetic thing. So look at the time for your own local position in this world and start the wishes and manifestations right after when the moon is new. And I hope this was an insightful video. I hope that I have really been able to express to you how important this is and how you ought to use this. Yeah, I really wish us a beautiful, fruitful, fertile, loving, stable, earth-loving, love-sharing new moon. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next lunation situation.